many dads enjoy very active physical play with their kids. And while that rough and tumble can sometimes make mom cringe, it turns out there are important developmental benefits to walking that fine line between safety and risk during playtime. Here to tell us more is WSJ columnist Sue Shellenbarger. And going straight to the source, we have a dad, Greg Kessler, who engages in rough play with his 7-year-old son and his adorable 4-year-old daughter, Zoe, who he brought with him. Thanks so much to all of you for being here. Sue, I'm going to start with you. Now researchers are focusing a bit more on what exactly dad brings to the table, and it turns out that rough play is a big part of the puzzle, right?
Researchers believe that this play may help kids learn to set boundaries. Dad tends to push the child up to the limit of where she or he isn't having fun anymore or is in pain, has to say stop, and that's a good with peers later to set limits. Also, the wrestling and the rough and tumble teaches a child to kind of read the signals, the physical and verbal signals of the other person, kind of an emotional intelligence under fire. All of this instills better social skills and fewer behavioral problems in the future, the research shows.
All right, so Greg, let me ask you, how much of this is just innate dad behavior? Because I see my husband rolling around with my 2 boys. They're all squealing in delight, yet it would never occur to me to do that. Does this just comes naturally?
I guess it does, yeah. It's not something I really thought about too much. It was just, I love to get down on my hands and knees and interact with the kids, and my dad did it, and I used to wrestle with him, and my grandfather used to wrestle with my dad, so maybe it is something that's
handed down or learned. And Zoe, do you have fun wrestling and rolling around with your dad? Yeah? You have a good time? It's fun, right? I mean, from the squeals of delight that I hear my boys engaging in. But you know, sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes they do get a little hurt. Dad, ow, I hear. And my husband says, oh, sorry, no big deal. And they all just move on. Does that sometimes happen?
Oh, sure.
And your wife cringes?
My wife leaves the room immediately.
But now you're vindicated. So, Sue, speaking of moms, does it matter whether it's moms or dads playing these games?
It doesn't. It's not gender boundary. If a mom behaves this way, the same thing happens for the child.
That's very good to know. Can you tell us a little bit about the kinds of games, the specific games that researchers have found helpful?
Researchers are turning their microscope on behaviors they can study to figure out exactly what it is dads do. One researcher in Australia has dads play with their 4-year-olds rough and tumble games like stealing dad's sock and trying not to let him get yours. They look at how positive the dads are and challenging, and also that dad is an ego involved, lets the kid win just often enough to stay interested and keeps it all positive. There's another laboratory procedure where a University of Montreal researcher puts dad and child in the laboratory and sees how willing the child is to play with a stranger or climb a challenging set of stairs, all watching whether the child is confident but secure.
So the idea is helping your child feel like they can take some risks, they can be a little physically daring, and it'll be okay. Do you see that happening, developing in your kids?
I think so, yeah. I think my kids definitely have more confidence, and they interact, they have lots of friends, and they love playing with their friends, and they know which friends enjoy rough and tumble play, and some do, and
how
some do
far
not.
they can
and how far they can go and set boundaries for it.
All right, Greg Kessler and Zoe, thank you so much for coming, and Sue, thank you so much for that.